cracked the code, man.
I know this is what everybody's waiting for.
We cracked the code, baby.
Skip ahead to here on the video for sure.
Rents from $1,300 to $1,500 on average per person, and that's per room. So if you're looking at investing in a 2-bedroom to 3-bedroom condo or townhouse, you know, the rents, your potential for monthly profit you're looking at here is $1,391, which when I first invested in my condo, I was looking at $100 a month.
And really quickly, guys, those 3 people will all be from the same company. They'll all know each other because they work together. So you're not kind of renting room by room here. Like you're renting to a group of 3 that are going to be there for a year on one lease.
And so I guess just one quick question, because I just see the YouTube comments right now, and I hope they are torching us right now as I'm saying this on the video. So a couple questions real quick. Are these furnished? Welcome back to the Canadian Real Estate Channel. I'm Adam JD Martin, your host, and today we've got Rhys Trenhaile from the Vanguard team ready to give us the November Windsor update. Rhys, what's going on here in Windsor?
You know, we got way more than that today. And I'm serious, guys. Like, if you're going to watch one video this week, it's this one. And we're going to do it on a couple of further videos on the show. But we've cracked the code down in Windsor. You can cash flow again. You can cash flow a lot again. And I think it's something that's going to be exclusive to Windsor. So stay tuned. I'm going to go through the stats first, but I've got some really good stuff for you today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing that because, you know, for years on this channel, Rhys, we've been talking about fundamentals of investing, and cash flow has been a primary pillar that we've talked about in the past few years. And the reality is that as we face greater uncertainty in the market, cash flow becomes the one thing that we can actually lean on to weather some of these storms. So I know everybody at home is going to be looking forward to that. Cash
flow is king, right? I mean, that's the saying. Cash flow is king. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. I'm very, very excited for our client base coming up. Yeah. Okay, so guys, if you haven't watched one of our videos before, I'm Rhys Trenhaile from the Vanguard team in Manor Realty. We have a team of 9, soon to be 10 real estate agents, all of which have specific investment niches within real estate investment. So when you come to the city, you're coming there for cash flow. You're coming there because the city's exploding economically. And for us, it's very routine to place you and find wealth and continue to grow your wealth through real estate investment. So that's us. We've been good enough at it over the years that we have been one of the top 100 teams in Canada. I think 2020 and 2022. I think we hit it. So yeah, we're not bad for a mid-sized city. As always, guys, we have our own YouTube channel. These guys here at the Canadian YouTube channel are always gracious enough to let us remind you that we have the Windsor Essex Real Estate channel. You will get exclusives on there and BRRRR strategies for Windsor properties, etc. And you can find us there at youtube.com and Windsor Ontario Real Estate. Here we go. Residential sales. The number of sales are down 8.86. Let's call it 10%. Let's round it up, real estate exaggeration style. And it's basically a 10% drop in the number of sales from last year. It's not overly surprising because of the success that the Bank of Canada has had raising that interest rate to a point where it has pumped the brakes pretty hard on the real estate industry as far as the sales go. So even though, and it's crazy, man, you know, even though supply is not enough for the massive demand. We have 1,000 people moving down here a month right now. I think last month it was 1,800. And even though that demand is just pushing on the system that already has 0 vacancies and just doesn't have enough housing, even so, you're seeing sales slowing down and you're seeing prices flatlining as well. So if you look at that graph, guys, you can see from July to November, it's pretty much a flat line, right? It hasn't done too much. You know, I call early 2022, January, February, March. Those are the purple lines. So January, February, March are the purple bars at the far left of the graph, right here with my mouse. I call those the stupids. And that's when the market was just insane and property values were going up, I think 36% in 3 months. And we were literally telling our clients just to kind of wait because this is not going to sustain itself. And sure enough, it dropped back down. This is a bit misleading, actually, that the average price is up 3.32%. And this is why I like using median. And people go, what's the difference, Rhys? Average is just taking the average of all properties sold in a given month, right? And the problem with that, guys, if you think about it, if a billionaire buys a $500 million house, it's going to make the whole market look like that month that, oh, the prices really shot up. So as an investor, you kind of want to pay more attention to the median price. And I'm going to ask my team to switch this to median next time. I didn't realize we were using average. Median is actually down 4%. And the median is let's say there's 500 houses that sell in a month. It's what the 250th house sells for. It's that house right in the middle. What did it sell for, right? And median tends to be a bit more accurate than average. It's good to look at both of them. So guys, you can see right now that the prices have flatlined through the year. I mean, look at it look at the yellow bars. Look at January versus November. That is the most boring real estate chart you're ever going to see. It's about as flat as it's going to be. But what a lot of my more sophisticated investors have surmised independently from one another, and I think they're correct, is this is the calm before the storm. It's like the economy is taking a breath before it takes off again. So it took off, right? I mean, I was selling real estate 14 years ago, coming out of the global meltdown, where the average house price was $164,000, right? And it's been on a tear here and there ever since, but not all at once. There were breathers in between. And this is just another breather. You can't tell me it's going to flatline and continue to flatline when you have over 1,000 people moving to Windsor a month that are highly skilled jobs. They have money, right? These aren't unemployed people moving to Windsor. These are people that are coming for specific high-paying jobs. They're just building right now, Adam, the research and development facility. It's going to be one of the world-class battery research and development facilities in the world, one of like 5 or 6. And it is going to be employing 650 PhDs and engineers. I mean, just at that place alone, where are they living? Because all 650 of them can afford $1 million plus as a home. Where are they going? Where are they living? Like, cause I don't know. We don't have the housing. Like, and that drives the price up. That's supply and demand. It's macroeconomics.
It is basic macroeconomics, and I want to just address it now because, and I'd love to hear you at home watching the video. Do leave us and continue leaving us comments because we read them, and I'm doing my best to catch up to these comments. But in the comments on some of our last videos, I saw people commenting like about the broader Canadian economy, right? You know, like, okay, we're suffering maybe as a whole, but guys, like when you hear Rhys saying specific jobs, specific areas, specific markets, like sometimes, and this I believe is one of those cases where this specific market, because of the exact circumstances that are going on, it has insulation, right? It has a buffer between it and the general broader economy. Because when you look at the whole economy, like, yeah, you're adding in statistics from freaking Nova Scotia, you're adding in statistics from Manitoba, you're adding in statistics from the oil fields, and so like those things are going to have all sorts of swings going on. But when we're talking about Windsor, and again, I do appreciate all the comments that have been left, but when we're talking about Windsor, like we are talking about like massive investment in infrastructure, a ton of jobs, and high skilled, like Rhys has mentioned, high skilled jobs. These aren't just like basic labor jobs. Sure, there will be some of those, but we're bringing in a ton of very educated people who have certain lifestyle expectations and general understandings of cost of living, and they're going to need to live somewhere, and they're not going to go and buy the cheap the bottom of the market. Like they're going to buy and inflate really the whole middle and up. And so I think that's where you have to take that into consideration as a major influence on where this market's headed.
And to your point, Adam, Conference Board of Canada, which is notoriously to the point of being comically conservative with their numbers, they're very, very safe. And even they said, okay, It looks like Canada is going to go into a mild recession, except for Windsor. Windsor can expect 2.5 to 3.2% GDP growth, and they even admit in their report that even that's almost certainly low, but they like staying low. And you can find that report on the Conference Board of Canada website. Don't take my word for it, but it's in line with what Adam's saying, is that we've never been really considered part of Canada. Why start including us in those numbers now? We've always been in a remote outpost, right? We're a frontier town traditionally. So yeah, no, we beat to a different drum. We beat more to the American drum. And we tend to be, because we're right next to Detroit, we tend to be early adopters to new industrial revolutions. And so people have to understand that the second industrial revolution, mass production, the first plant was in Detroit, Henry Ford, mass production. The second plant was less than 2 years later, again with Henry Ford in Canada, with the McGregor Wagon Works guys. And that was Ford Motor Company in Canada. Those were the first two plants in the world that had mass production, right? Third industrial revolution, we didn't have a lot to do with it, right? We just kind of rode the coattails of it. Fourth industrial revolution, guys, if you could have a graphic depiction of where the pillars, where the centers of the fourth industrial revolution are globally, you'd have a big honking pillar in Windsor, Ontario. A big honking pillar. I mean, it's not just about the fact that we're building batteries, great, and electronic vehicles, great. You have to understand we have the greatest concentration of automation software companies in Canada. We're number 2 behind Silicon Valley, right? We're the only city that has software where you can do a mortgage from start to finish without talking to anybody. That's Edison, right? If you watched Welcome to Wrexham and you see the shirt sleeve that has Vistaprint. Vistaprint advertises heavily with the Wrexham football team. That's Windsor. It's a Windsor company, right? We're not just cars, guys. We're not just cars. And we have economically diversified to a point where we're very dangerous in a good way, and we're going to continue to grow. And as a potential landlord, you need to strongly consider, especially when you hear what I've got to say next, as far as how we're creating cash flow right now, despite the high interest rates.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Moving on. Market activity down 10.74%. Again, this is a direct correlation to the interest rates rising. As of today, they flatlined it again, and all the big 5 major banks are all predicting some pretty steady Freddy interest rate drops now going into 2024, because the labor market has also really, really softened. That was the last thing they were really waiting for. I always love this to see, where we're at. And it's interesting to see how the sales over 800,000 have bounced back. Very recently, that was 7 a month, and it's back up to about 32. I like it. This is a healthy curve right here. Like if you thought of this as a curve at your bookend, you have about 30.
That's a perfect normal distribution almost.
Yeah, it is.
Like literally a perfect chart.
It is. Isn't that funny?
Which is like probably a great signal of health, honestly.
It's a balance. It's what it's showing is it's a balanced market right now, right? We have almost 4 months of inventory now. And as an investor, it's a really good window to invest before the next round of bidding wars, which are inevitable. We don't have enough housing. As you take the brakes off with the interest rate reductions, again, that you can expect in 2024, this nice, pretty curve is going to skew again. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic. That's a very healthy distribution.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Enough of that stuff. Adam, we cracked the code, man.
I know this is what everybody's waiting for.
We cracked the code, baby.
Skip ahead to here on the video for sure.
I was trying to sort of, because I don't usually get too high or too low. I'm really excited by what we're providing to people right now as a solution. And so the problem is you can borrow money to build an ADU. You still need to rent that out to get your money back, right? If you buy a duplex down here, you want to take advantage of the fact Windsor's going somewhere and very positively, but you got to be able to cash flow on it, right? And right now with those higher interest rates, you can't just put 20% down, get an 8% mortgage, and get your $500 a month in cash flow. We haven't been able to do it, but we realized that we could do it. and we just hadn't really put an emphasis on it. And at this point, I think I can bring in Sadi Moro, my teammate, as we kind of go over sort of what we're doing as a team. There she is.
Hey, Sadie.
Hi.
There she is, Miss America. Was that good? No.
Yeah.
The Welsh are supposed to be able to sing. I don't know what's wrong with me. I didn't get the gene. So yeah, Adam, to put this in context, you're looking at a $5.4 billion project. That's the international bridge that's currently going in. You only build international bridges that are of international quality when you have the #1 trade route in the world, right? Which is this and the other bridge, the Ambassador Bridge. And then we also have an automotive, we have a tunnel as well going into the States. They expect so much increase in economic activity in Windsor over the next 20 to 30 years that they're scrambling to build a second bridge, right? Why I'm bringing this up when we talk about cracking the code is you look at the sheer magnitude of the build. Those aren't all Windsorites building that, right? It won't be all Windsorites building all the freeways. It won't be all Windsorites building all the connections to the freeways. It won't be all Windsorites building massive amounts of infrastructure to scramble to create another, I think, is it 5,000 acres of industrial land? You know, and I've said this on a previous show. The development commissioner said to me when I asked him, I said, hey, how are the rest of your negotiations going on with all these other South Korean companies? And he goes, Rhys, we're going to run out of industrial land long before we run out of announcements.
Yeah. Like, that's a hell of a position to be in.
We're scrambling to make enough space for this. So we got to pull in labor from other markets where, fortunately, they're not as busy. So we're hauling a ton of labor down here. And now the federal government has changed immigration laws so that we can get more construction labor into the country because we badly need it, right, to build everything, especially housing. But anyway, so we're building this new international bridge. And that is going to be, when completed, the largest battery manufacturing plant in North America. And it will make more gigawatts of batteries than the entire United States combined, including everybody's favorite Elon Musk. I might have said everybody's favorite kind of facetiously because I either love him or hate him.
Yeah, but that's still a pretty major, like, this is a mega investment into the area, and like to compete with something like Tesla's Gigafactory is pretty incredible.
Literally, you can add up all the battery manufacturing capacity in the United States. You can stuff it all into that plant. And, you know, again, you know, I talked about the 100,000 square foot research and development facility. There's also the cell production site, which is adjacent, but you don't just build this and go, okay, see you later, guys. Great job. Well done. There's an entire series of factories and services and everything else that support this plant over the next 50 years plus, right? Like, this is just your anchor. You know, this is your anchor project that brings in all these other projects, right? And you have to understand too, guys, we are the world leaders in Windsor in tool, and I know it sounds like an exaggeration. It's not. We are the world leaders in tool, die, and mold making, right? And that's an adjunct of being next to Detroit since the second industrial revolution for 100 years. So we can make stuff here that nobody else in the world can make. And interesting fun fact, we made, you know how you have the child-proof locks on the medicine bottles? That's a Windsor thing. That was a doctor in a tool and die shop that put that together. Saves 100,000 kids' lives a year.
Wow, that's a fun fact. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I also just I was thinking, because you were talking about the bridge, right, and how much of a long-term investment that is, and I didn't really realize, but it seems almost obvious now thinking about it. Like, the Ambassador Bridge is coming up on 100 years of service at this point. I think it was
1929. Yeah,
1929. So when you think about a new bridge, right, like, we're talking about a scale of a century. Like, we're not talking, like, they're not just kind of throwing some money at this and, you know, it's a 5-year project. It's like, no, we're going to have this because we think there's going to be the economic activity to drive the demand for this thing for the next 100 years. So again, this is where we need to, from a real estate investment perspective, be thinking about the macro state of this, of the city, and in particular, the investments we can make there, and not just be stuck on like, oh, like inflation's up 3% and houses are down 3% on sales volume. And you're like, okay, this doesn't matter. We just built a 100-year bridge. We're investing in a, you know, multiple billion-dollar project that's going to bring high quality labor to the area for what, decades? Like a century, maybe even for the labor. Like these things need to run.
The Ambassador Bridge isn't going away.
No,
like it is still right today. It is the #1 trade route. It's the busiest trade route in the world. It's got over 10,000 trucks that go across it every day. 60% of those trucks do not travel further than 20 kilometers. In other words, 60% of the traffic coming across the busiest international trade route in the world aren't really going anywhere but Windsor. So when you're building a second international bridge, it's not because, oh, we expect, you know, way more business with Toronto. No, they expect a massive increase in economic activity in Windsor. So they need a second bridge to go with the first bridge. So now you're going to have 2 bridges bringing over all those trucks as the economy continues to grow and swell and accelerate. Right?
Yeah,
so
I love that.
Yeah, and I mean, when you add things like the research and development facility, you have to understand that it's kind of like adding, like you know, your research and development cluster of a similar size in Waterloo created the BlackBerry empire. It created Shopify.
Yep.
Right. So the R&D starts first, and then the businesses that create tens of thousands of jobs come from that initial R&D facility. So you have to understand when Rhys is saying, oh yeah, we're building there's 650 engineers and PhDs. Oh, that's great. Yeah, what are they going to make that we haven't even thought of yet that's going to create another 20,000 jobs here? That won't be on board necessarily.
It's not just that, like those particular communities, they birth a BlackBerry or Research in Motion. But then if you look a couple of years later, like they house Google, right? They house Desire to Learn. They house all these other massive software companies that follow once the scene's been created. So not only do you get new and emerging technology, but then you get your established like heavy hitters that come into the area and create their own little ecosystems around those areas just to learn and grow together. It's symbiotic.
Yeah. I mean, the last big thing we need now to attract those people that do create the next Research in Motion to Windsor, if they're not already here, to retain them, is to have an awesome downtown core. And that's going to take residential density, which is something we focus on, which is, you know, creating residential density in the downtown core. It really is the last key thing we need to make this city go for the next 50 years. And it's happening. It's coming. It's funny. Yeah. So, I mean, we are a city of innovation. Like the inventor of the BlackBerries from Windsor, Mike Lazaridis, he went to Herman High School. Yeah. But he didn't have a reason to stay here.
Yep.
He went to Waterloo. Waterloo took advantage of his genius and got those tens of thousands of jobs. We need the reverse to happen now. And when you have things like a research and development facility that's world-class for batteries, you know, that's a fourth industrial revolution R&D facility. You're going to get some special things coming out of there, man.
Yeah, that's exciting. Let's talk cash flow. I want to hear more about this.
Let's do this. So I brought Sadi on, and we're going to bring on our other teammate, Stephanie Saunders, another show, and we're going to bring our favorite specialist on cracking the code, property manager, Tori. We're going to bring her on as well. So this is going to be a 3-part series, guys. So I'm going to let Sadi talk more than me, right? God gave me 2 ears and 1 mouth and, you know, all that stuff, right? So Sadi has got a couple of properties to show us, and I'm going to give you the floor here. Just so you guys understand what this is all based on is what we were just talking about, which are all these builders and all these tradespeople and all these supervisors and engineers and everything else that are all coming to Windsor to build the bridges and the $5 billion bridges, the $1 billion in roads, the $2 billion mega hospital, the $6 billion battery plant, and all the other 25 plants that are going to surround this plant. This is going to go on for years. And here's the crazy thing. They don't live here. Thousands of these workers, they don't live here. They live out of town, but they need a place to crash while they're here working. right, while they're here on project. And they pay more, especially on a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom unit, they pay much more than traditional rents. And Sadie, I'm going to give you the floor so you can explain it to people a lot more.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of touched base on that with what's happening right now. And what we have here is a townhouse that shows the projected type of rents that we're looking at right now for those type of renters, which is rare. It's definitely something that I haven't seen in a long time, but now it's coming into the market. And it's something that people should jump on right now. So just looking at this townhouse for a 3-bedroom, I say 3-bedroom because the +1 is in the basement, and I'd like to keep my numbers kind of safe. So a 3-bedroom townhouse we're looking at with potential rents from our property manager who's confirmed these rents with us. I know Rhys has spoken to her, and I'm sure she'll elaborate it more on when she's on here next time, where she can get rents from $1,300 to $1,500 on average per person, and that's per room. So if you're looking at investing in a 2-bedroom to 3-bedroom condo or townhouse, the rents, your potential for monthly profit you're looking at here is $1,391, which when I first invested in my condo, I was looking at $100 a month. So
Yeah.
it's definitely something to consider and not take lightly.
And really quickly, guys, those 3 people will all be from the same company. They'll all know each other because they work together. So you're not kind of renting room by room here. Like you're renting to a group of 3 that are going to be there for a year on one lease.
And so I guess just one quick question, because I just see the YouTube comments right now, and I hope they are torching us right now as I'm saying this on the video. So a couple questions real quick. Are these furnished? Number one. Number two, where would you advertise a product like this so that you could specifically target that, maybe let's just say the battery factory construction worker? Where are we advertising this? Is it furnished? And here's a great question. Do you know of a property manager or somebody like that who might manage something like this? Because probably the investor is somebody like myself who looks at this and goes, wow, great cash flow, great opportunity, but I'm lazy. I don't want to I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
Right? Sadie, can I
get into that?
Can I answer the first one?
Sure. Yeah, I was going to elaborate on all that myself, but you can. Yeah.
And now I'm forgetting what the first one was. The first thing you said was
it's furnished. Yeah. So these rentals are very based on more furnished rentals. Again, having just like the basics: dining room table, living room set, bed, and a dresser. So they are going to be furnished. They're going to be needed to be furnished because, like Rhys said, they don't live here, but they need a space to live in during that time.
Yeah.
And then for a lot of our clients who are either lazy or out of town, they're not going to be here to do that. So Tori is someone that we are working hand in hand with to help our clients with that. So she's willing to help our clients get the unit furnished, get it set up. She's already working with those type of renters here. And I know Rhys can elaborate on that, but she's someone we would recommend highly because she focuses on condos and townhouses. She's one of our clients as well, and she's an investor. So she's the person that we would highly recommend to take on those properties specifically. She can do the normal 1-year lease standard renter from the city, but with these executives, I don't know anybody else who's doing it. I know she's doing it, so she'd be the one to work with.
Awesome.
Yeah. So really quickly, Adam, the question you posed was, how do you advertise for this? Mm-hmm. The answer is you don't. It's not done like that. We're one of 20 entities that were invited by the local development commission to meet with the executives from a couple of the major plants being built right now. And they're giving us sort of their needs coming up for how many units they need. So builders and developers were predominant at the meeting. I think I got the invite because I'm a hybrid, right? I'm both a developer creating residential units, and I've got one, me and Sadie, we've got one of the top real estate teams in Windsor. I would say probably one of the top 4 or 5 teams as far as, sales volume. And, you're going to have to, I hate to say this, but if you want to make this easy, you go through us, because we have the relationships directly through the Development Commission, and we have the relationships with Tori. And Tori's been doing this for, I think, at least 15, 20 years. She was doing it heavily up in Sarnia, when Sarnia was building a lot of sort of chemical plant related stuff. And
it's funny you mentioned that, because that's actually where I first became even familiar with the idea of like medium term furnished higher level rentals, and they're very successful there. There's an investor there, Corey McKinnon, who he's been on the channel.
I know Corey,
yeah, he's been on the channel several times, and he's got all, investing groups and things like that. And one of his strategies that's been very successful is exactly this. So it is good to hear, though, guys, that there's already like communication established there where you could get a backdoor into this, have it be almost a hands-free experience in terms of the management, and then be able to kind of walk in as an investor that maybe doesn't necessarily live in Windsor. Maybe they live in Toronto, or like myself, you live in Guelph or London, and you think, wow, what a great opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see there's a network here to catch the demand for this type of investment. So that's great.
I just did an interview with Tori so that I could put it up on our Windsor Essex YouTube channel. And people really need to hear how desperate she is for units. Like, she's not even coming close. And a lot of these guys will kind of call up last minute saying, hey, I got 5 guys driving to Windsor right now. What do you got for us? Right? And she's like, nothing. Let me make 100 calls in a panic. And so we'll get the panic calls all the time. It's like, let's see what we can do. But she would love nothing more. Like, Sadie and I and a couple other people on the team, we already guinea pigged this to make sure that it was real and it was straightforward. And it is, and it's good. It boosts the bottom line when, we're getting hammered on things like the interest rates at 6-7%, right? And so all of a sudden we're cash flowing wonderfully again on smaller properties. And, this is something that you're going to be able to do for the next 5+ years. And all predictive models over the next 5 years have rents going up again, because there's not enough housing, number one. And number two, interest rates are going to come down. So for me, it's like, do this as long as you want to. When the wheels kind of fall off of this, because we've built everything, which is probably 7 to 10 years from now, you can morph back to regular renting, because the rents have continued to increase and the interest rates on your mortgage have continued to decrease. So
yeah, I think it is worth bringing that up right now too, because another comment I know that we'll for sure get is, what are the exit strategies? Because if we plan on a rent of, say, just in this example, we use $1,500 times 3 is $4,500. Is that rent sustainable from a long-term rent perspective in Windsor? Probably not, as a 3-bedroom rental. So I think, again, this is another one of those questions where that's fine to identify, but it's like, we need to just think about our actual strategy here. If the strategy is to satisfy the demand for this build, well, this build is going to go the same way every other build in history has gone, which is going to take for bloody ever. So it's going to be like for anywhere from 0 to 5 to 10 years to do the build. And throughout that whole time, if your strategy is to meet that demand, that's fantastic. You meet that demand, and then you at least have a chance to pivot in the future, understanding that the economy is going to change by then, the rates will change, rents will continue to go up, all of those different things, and then at least plan for it. But I think part of it is just understanding that this is not like, this will not be a get rich quick scheme. This will be a thorough, thought out, calculated risk, like we've already discussed at the start of this video. And that's what's actually required to have a successful investment. So it's like, yes, there's risk. And if you calculate the risk, then it could be actually very worthwhile to accept that risk and have an exit strategy for some time in the future if this changes, or they actually, for the first time in history, build something on time, right?
So Sadie's and everybody on the team, they're not going to sell you anything that's overpriced. So they're going to sell you something that is still fairly priced today. And what you'll find is that if you go the traditional rental route, you're breaking even, or you're getting a meager cash flow. So you talk about exit strategies, if for some ungodly surprising reason rents didn't increase continually over the next 4 or 5 years, and then all of a sudden there's no more building and it's 7 years later. Again, this is unrealistic.
Yeah.
But if something that crazily unrealistic happened, you'd still be able to resell the property.
Well, and the price point that you just showed was actually part of the category that was in one of the highest in terms of volume of sales, right?
That's
like
correct.
the greatest number of sales is occurring in that price point. So it's so not funny.
Like it's so funny you picked that up, man, because Sadi targets buildings and townhouse complexes like this that do have high turnover, because that affords you the exit strategy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? There are buildings that are a lot tougher to sell than others. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, Sadi can talk about that all day, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. These townhouses right now, for the prices where they're at, there's so much room for growth and equity.
Yeah.
And to kind of go off of what you mentioned, Adam, about that, kind of like a safety net, there's not going to be a property that we recommend to our clients that if, let's say, something happens and you can't find these executives to rent out for that high-end price, you're still going to get a positive cash flow at the end of the day, no matter what. That's something, again, if I wouldn't invest in it, I wouldn't recommend anybody else to invest in it. So if I didn't get married this year, I would be investing in it right now. So, but soon enough. But
it was a great wedding. It was a great wedding. It was worth the sacrifice. Yeah.
It was worth it. But again, with these townhouses, since, COVID and that influx of sales and prices, and then the rates being so low, and now they're shifting, back a little bit, hopefully this year, adjusting a little bit more, you're still going to get equity back in these prices, because they're still so much under from where they were. I would say almost double they can go in value. They're kind of sliced in half since the last 2-3 years since those rates went up. So there's so much potential for it's a win-win. You kind of covered all around. You're going to get that equity. You're going to get rent monthly, and for backup, if you don't get those executive rentals being furnished, standard 1-year lease rentals, you're still getting covered all the way around. So
yeah, and look at the cash on cash return, guys. It's 27.6%. That means you're getting your initial 20% deposit back, or down payment back rather. You're getting it back in approximately 4 years. Right? And we're not sugarcoating the numbers. If you see our cash flow analyses, they're exactly the cash flow analyses that we use when we invest. And Sadi owns a condo and a beautiful side-by-side duplex. I'm envious of that thing.
Yeah.
You're getting the same numbers from us that we use for ourselves when we invest. So this does include 5% for vacancy. It does include 5% for maintenance. It includes 5% for management, all those things. And if they're not 5% or whatever it is right now, I think maybe 3% for vacancy is what we use.
We adjust it as we go.
Yeah. But I mean, whatever it is, it's realistic to the situation, and it's small c conservative. So the numbers can only get better than this unless you're kind of, shooting yourself in the foot, which we can't protect you against that much. But yeah, as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, these are kind of good, accurate numbers. We'll show a quick Highrise too. I lived in here, full disclosure. I lived in here for 16 years before I got married. And this is in downtown Windsor, where over the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see a lot of announcements and a lot of developments. And Sadie, do you want to talk about the building a little bit and why you sell so many in these buildings?
Yeah. So the building, it's a great building. It's one of the most popular buildings in the city. It's affordable for renters, affordable for first-time buyers, and affordable for investors. It has some of the best amenities. They have 24-hour security. They have parking. They have, laundry and indoor pool, and the staff is there is great. They're always working to upkeep the building, which is great. So they always have a healthy reserve fund. So they're not just letting stuff go as time goes on and become run down. They're always upkeeping, which is great. So a lot of people appreciate that, and they understand that. So for this condo building, we're looking at a 2-bedroom condo. Because it's a high rise, we want to always consider parking, location, and what the building offers. So it's not as high as a townhouse for renting, but you're still getting that $350 plus a month, which is safe. And you are going to still get that equity in that unit, because these units have adjusted in price over the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this building, I've never had an issue selling something, renting something, anything. It's people know it from Toronto. They know word of mouth, university students, young professionals, like Rhys mentioned earlier, people who work in the States and want to live close to the border. This is the building they're going to.
About 1/4 of the University of Windsor Law School lives in this building. It's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah. Or young professionals who are in different type of careers, nursing, engineering.
I do want to point out something though. So I know full well what you did here, Sadie. You got potential for 350 plus profit per month. Okay, Tori's getting more money now. Like I looked at these numbers, right? Tori's getting upwards of $1,450, $1,500 per month per tradesman. So I mean that 350, if you're using Tori's most recent numbers, you're more at 500, 550.
I'd have to triple check, but yeah, it ranges around there. And again, depending on the unit, the condo fees, the taxes, it's going to shift about $150 per unit. So this is just kind of the standard 2-bedroom.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Sadie's being small C conservative, and it's good.
I like to safe things. I'm always on the safe side of
under-promise, over-deliver. We keep repeating it internally. We just don't want to be those guys that just exaggerate, man.
Nice. Yeah. That's also a large C conservative trait. I like that. Not a bad thing to do.
No, and again, it protects us as investors, but it also protects our clients. And that goes, like, I've been doing this for 20 years. This goes back to like Global Meltdown when there was 16% vacancy in Windsor.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, my clients are going to call and kill us. They're going to land based us. They're going to want to string us up. And nobody was calling. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to start calling my client. Everything okay with your place? Oh yeah, we're good. Our clients in 16.6% vacancy, our clients were still 0 to 5% vacant. And it dawned on me that 16.6% vacancy is not homogenous across the market, right? The people that have the best 1/3 of properties available for rent are always rented. The people that have the bottom 1/3, right, which include the slumlords, they are 50 to 100% vacant in the bad times. Yeah. So when Sadie said that, hey, I've never had a problem in renting out or selling these units, she's truthful on that. Like during the worst of the global meltdown in 2009, 2010, this place was still rented out.
Yeah, because again, the university, and they just expanded the last couple of years downtown.
Yeah.
And then hopefully with the expansion, it's super easy and super simple. And we do have a lot of first-time investors who do buy a condo. They either take that equity and buy another condo, or they sell and they go upwards. And they, they invest in something bigger.
Especially too, if you're a professional, if you're an accountant or a lawyer or a doctor, kind of watching this right now, or a dentist, our recommendation to you is you don't buy a duplex to a sixplex down here. They don't need cash flow as much because their active incomes are good. It's more like they got to park their money in a worry-free investment. And so the worry-free investments are either the single family units, because as soon as it's just a house or is it just a condo, the tenant perceives the property as their home. They will cut the grass, they will make small repairs because it's their home. As soon as it's a duplex, who's cutting the grass? I'm not cutting the grass. I don't know that other guy upstairs, right? All of a sudden, you have to hire all those people to do all that work. And as soon as you go into a duplex, triplex situation, you're not renting out to those 3 demographics I just described in the condos, which are your young professionals, your professional students, and your retirees. And these people coming into town, right? For example, I just tried to get Sadie to get Tori to lease out a house that was a bit beat up, it was a bit tired. I tried to get them to do that, and Sadie's like, they won't go for that. they won't go for that. So then you're renting out to sort of more hands-on tenants, and you have to be more careful about who you rent out to and all those sorts of things, right? So again, for professionals and for rookie investors, you're looking at Sadi Moro on the screen. That's your go-to. I'm telling you though, you've been doing this for a long time now too, Sadie. You've been on the team for over 10 years. Like, they take advantage of her. Like, this is your guide. This is your Gandalf to get investing.
Yeah.
If not for the first time in Windsor, right? She has clients that love her and have used her for years and have bought multiple condos, right? And you can just do that, or just buy one condo, and now you're safe and secure and comfortable in Windsor. You're safe and secure and comfortable in your investment, and you can continue to build up your wealth by going after other properties with other team members that have other strategies and other niches and other strengths. So there you go.
And not to take anything away from Tori, I also do leasing for my clients. So a lot of times they're not from here. It's just a 1-bedroom condo. We can, get it up. I do everything a property manager does for, a one-time fee, because condos are so easy. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to manage it at all. Really, you get your rent every month. Aside by maybe a call, 1 or 2 calls a year about something minor, but you have that property manager in the building taking care of the building, and you have security. So it's super safe, super hands off, really. And you don't have to really do anything. I think I went to my condo once to see my tenant about something, but in the end it's very simple. Very easy.
Yeah, we got to wrap it up, but we call them popcorn investments. It's kind of like popcorn at the movie theater. You don't think about it, you just pop the popcorn in your mouth.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I really appreciate the insight on this. I know it helps for everybody watching the Canadian Real Estate Channel to understand the various investment strategies and styles, and even just, hear it from you guys, the experts in the market, like where would you invest, what type of investments, and who's the ideal sort of archetype for these type of investments. And it's really great for our viewers and the people watching to just understand that you guys are providing that whole package, right? Like, you can get your leases managed, you can get the property management, or at least the referral. If it's not even through you, you have the referral, you have the connections and the way to get that sort of back door into working with the companies that are providing, sort of catering this demand for the product itself. So it's really great for our viewers. And I think we're just going to pull up some info on the screen here for you guys that everyone can follow you. We'll also have it linked below. But I really appreciate you guys coming back on the Canadian Real Estate Channel. And again, if you haven't already, guys, please reach out to them, get in contact with them for their services, or if you have direct questions for them, either drop them in the comments so we can start a discussion and help out the other fellow Canadian investors to get that information. If you're thinking it, they're thinking it. But do reach out, and don't forget to subscribe to their YouTube channel. There's lots of information there for you. There's lots of things there that you can check out and just build this relationship. Like, this video is not your end state with these guys. If you want a better relationship with them, consume more of their content and actually talk to them. That's going to be how you start on your path of investing in real estate in Windsor. So I really appreciate you guys for coming on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. Appreciate it, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.